What if the reason you keep forgetting names isn't about age, but about one tiny mistake you've been making every single day without even realizing it? What if memory loss after 60 isn't permanent, but completely preventable with a few small changes you've never been told? Welcome to the Senior Healthcare Podcast, where wisdom meets science and aging becomes a journey of power, not decline. Today's episode dives deep into a fear many of us silently carry, losing our mental sharpness one forgotten name at a time. And here's the truth. There's a reason behind it, and there's something you can do starting tonight. We are here ready to walk with you step by step through the surprising causes, the latest science, and the calming habits that are helping thousands of older adults protect what matters most: clarity, connection, and dignity in the podcast.
Hello and welcome. I'm truly glad you're here with us today because we're going to talk about something so many of us experience, especially, well, as the years go by. That moment when you meet someone, you have a lovely chat, and then maybe just a few minutes later, poof, their name just vanishes from your mind. It's a frustrating feeling, isn't it? And we often just shrug it off, or maybe tell ourselves, oh, it's just a part of getting older, as if it's something we simply have to accept. But what if I told you it really doesn't have to be that way? What if remembering names and just feeling sharper overall is far more within our control than we might think? We're going to explore how even small everyday habits might just be the key to unlocking clearer memory and truly strengthening those precious connections with the people around us. It's about bringing back that wonderful sense of clarity, that connection we all cherish.
That moment you just described, that feeling, a name right on the tip of your tongue, but just gone. It's incredibly common. So many people feel that quiet frustration, really. But you've touched on something profound. Our brains are truly remarkable. They really are. Wonderfully adaptable, always capable of learning, of adjusting, even as we age. So today, our journey together is to gently explore some of the maybe surprising reasons why names might seem to slip away like that. And more importantly, we're going to share some practical calming habits. Things that can truly make a noticeable difference in your day-to-day recall. This isn't about feeling like something inside you is, broken. Not at all. It's about understanding the amazing way your brain works and then simply giving it a little more of what it truly needs to thrive, to remember, and importantly, to connect.
Okay, so let's start there. Let's begin by maybe uncovering this. Quiet shift you mentioned, something that often happens in our minds as we navigate life. We've all been there, haven't we? You're out somewhere, maybe at a gathering or just bumping into an old acquaintance at the shops. You smile, you nod, you start to say hello, and then just a blank space where the name should be. That little flicker of embarrassment, maybe a fleeting worry, that feeling of a piece of your memory just stepping out for a second. It's very real. And while our first thought often goes straight to, oh, I'm just getting older, you're suggesting there's actually a deeper, more subtle shift happening, something many of us don't even realize is taking place. It's not just slowing down then.
It's a wonderful way to put it, a quiet shift. Yes. And what's fascinating here is to understand what's subtly changing inside. Imagine a special part of your brain. Think of it like a vital pathway, almost like a busy receiving station for all the new information you encounter.
A receiving station for new things.
Exactly. Especially fresh details, like a new name. It's like the place where all the new mail gets sorted before it can be filed away properly.
Okay, I can picture that.
Yeah.
Like an inbox.
Precisely. Now, as the years go by, if this receiving station isn't regularly supported, if it doesn't get the right conditions, it can become a little less efficient.
Right. Things might not get sorted as quickly.
Exactly. And it's not just the passage of time, though, that's a factor. Our everyday habits play a surprisingly significant role.
Okay. So things we do every day affect this. Like what?
Well, things like constantly trying to do 5 things at once, that multitasking. Or carrying around everyday worries, that constant low-level stress.
We all have that sometimes.
We do. Or even spending perhaps too much quiet time just passively looking at screens. It can truly start to overwhelm this delicate system. Think of your memory maybe like a cherished garden.
A garden.
Okay. After a certain age, it simply needs a bit more consistent care, more quiet space to grow. And definitely less noise or clutter from constant distractions throughout the day. So when your brain seems to forget a name, it's not broken. It's often just overwhelmed.
Overwhelmed, that makes sense.
And when that happens, those precious new names, which are initially held in a very sensitive, temporary part of your memory, they're often the very first things to get lost in that mental scramble. It's almost like your brain is trying to protect itself, letting go of the newest, most fragile pieces first when it feels overloaded.
Like dropping the latest delivery because there's no room on the sorting table.
Exactly. And a gentle nudge here. Overlooking these subtle signs is quite common. Is your brain actually whispering, or sometimes even shouting, for a different rhythm, maybe a bit more rest, or just a moment of quiet?
So we shouldn't ignore it when names start slipping more often.
Ideally not. But the truly hopeful news, and this is so important, is that this natural shift, this lessening of efficiency, it can absolutely be softened.
Yeah.
It can be supported with new, gentle habits.
So if there's this quiet shift happening internally, and our habits contribute, it naturally leads me to wonder about the rhythms of our daily lives, particularly how we begin our day. Which brings us to something you hinted might be surprisingly impactful, our morning habits. How they can actually, maybe without us even realizing it, quietly steal away some of our mental clarity and recall. I invite you, just for a moment, to gently reflect on your own morning routine. Is it straight to the coffee pot first thing, maybe immediately scrolling through headlines or listening to the news? Perhaps you feel like you're rushing to get out the door, already feeling behind. It's genuinely eye-opening, isn't it, to consider that how we start our day could either gently sharpen our memory or, quite innocently, create hurdles for it all day long.
You've hit on such an important point there. The morning routine truly holds immense subtle power over our brains. It really does. Right after you wake up, your mind is in this remarkably receptive state. Think of it like soft clay, really pliable and ready to be shaped by whatever you introduce to it first.
Malleable.
Exactly. Now, when you flood it with certain things too quickly, maybe too much strong coffee before you've even had a glass of water.
Guilty as charged, sometimes.
Many of us are. Or diving straight into, say, negative news stories, or even just the internal stress of rushing, you're essentially creating a little internal alarm bell. This internal alarm, this stress response, it makes your brain's receiving station for new information, that pathway we talked about, struggle.
And it makes it harder for things to stick.
Yes, it's like trying to listen carefully to someone in a very noisy room. It makes it genuinely harder for new details like names to settle in and really adhere. We know that when we wake up, our natural stress signals, our cortisol, can be quite high.
That morning spike.
That's right. And if we don't manage that gently, those signals can scatter our focus and weaken our ability to form fresh, lasting memories right from the get-go. So that jarring news, the fast-paced radio, even just skipping a proper calm breakfast, these can all work against your memory throughout the entire day.
Wow. So what's a better way?
A very simple yet powerful shift you can make is just to begin your day with a little stillness. This doesn't mean you need a grand meditation ritual, not at all. It can be as simple as taking a few unhurried, deep breaths, maybe slowly sipping some warm water before the coffee, or just spending a quiet moment by a window, gazing outside for a minute before the day truly begins.
Protecting those first few minutes.
Yes,
Yeah.
protect those first 30 minutes if you can. Because when your day begins in a whirl of chaos, your memory often pays the price all day long. And remember, names, they're not just words, are they? They are threads of connection. They are part of someone's identity. How you start your day truly, truly matters for holding on to those connections.
That's a truly profound connection. The idea that our morning stress can directly impact remembering a name later in the afternoon. And it leads me to think about something even more fundamental, what we put into our bodies. So let's gently shift our focus now from our daily habits to something that starts perhaps even earlier, maybe right in our very own kitchens. Could it be that some of our memory challenges might actually begin on our plate rather than solely within our minds?
Absolutely. It's a beautiful thought. And you're right. There's a powerful, often overlooked link between what we choose to eat and how our brain functions, especially as we get older. There's one essential nutrient that keeps emerging in careful studies. It seems incredibly vital for memory, particularly for remembering those new names.
Oh, not some fad superfood.
No, not at all. It's something wonderfully common, actually. It's called choline.
Choline. Okay, I've heard of that.
Yes. Choline is so important because it helps your brain build a kind of, well, think of it as brain glue.
Brain glue. I like that.
It's the sticky substance that helps new memories, like those fresh names you learn, really adhere and stay put in the short term so they can be filed later. Without enough of this special glue, your brain can genuinely struggle to hold on to those names. They just slip away far too easily.
And you're saying many older adults might not get enough.
That's what the research suggests, yes. Especially if perhaps they've cut back on common sources like eggs for various reasons, or maybe rely heavily on convenient processed meals, which often lack it. And studies have consistently shown that people who ensure they get enough choline tend to perform noticeably better on memory tasks.
Really, even later in life.
Yes, even well into their 70s and beyond. Now, this isn't about aiming for some kind of perfect diet, which, let's face it, can feel overwhelming.
Definitely.
It's about a very simple, practical step. It could be just consistently incorporating 1 or 2 eggs into your morning meal.
Just eggs.
Eggs are a fantastic source. A simply boiled egg, or perhaps a small omelet, maybe with some spinach. It can make a real, tangible difference over time. It's about feeding your brain the precise building blocks it needs to remember the people we care about. Forgetting names can sometimes make us feel a little isolated, can't it? Makes conversations feel a bit harder, connections less immediate.
Really can.
But sometimes a significant part of the answer is right there, waiting for us on our plate, providing that essential glue for our incredible brains.
Okay, so we've talked about these quiet shifts in the brain, how our mornings matter, and even our breakfast choices, like getting enough choline, this brain glue. Now let's move to something incredibly practical. A tool you can use the very moment you meet someone new, because I know that common frustration, you hear a name, you nod politely, maybe even repeat it, and within moments, gone. Trying to hold water in your hands. But here's where you mentioned a remarkably powerful yet surprisingly simple technique comes in. One that even people well into their 70s and 80s are apparently using to make names stick like glue.
Yes, this wonderfully effective method is often called the name anchor technique. It's truly remarkable in its simplicity and quite fun, actually. Here's how it gently works. The very instant you hear someone's name, you take just a fleeting moment to actively connect it to something familiar within your own mind.
Connect it.
How? It could be a vivid image, maybe a playful rhyme, or even a tiny mini-story you create just for that name. Let's imagine you meet a lovely woman named Rose, instead of just hearing Rose and moving on.
Which is what usually happens.
Exactly. Instead, immediately picture her, just in your mind's eye, perhaps holding a beautiful, fragrant red rose. Or maybe standing in a rose garden.
Oh, okay. Create a picture.
Or if you meet a friendly man named Bill, maybe imagine a dollar bill playfully floating just above his head for a second. The secret here is that your brain absolutely adores pictures. It thinks in images much more readily than abstract words like names.
So visual connection is key.
It really is. And here's the fun part. The sillier, the more vivid, or even the more unusual the image you create, the better it tends to work. It makes the name truly memorable, distinct. That little mental picture then becomes your anchor. It helps the name gently stick.
Like tying a string around your finger, but mentally.
Precisely. It's a bit like creating a special labeled folder for that name in your mind, linking it to something visual or even a little humorous or emotional. This is why, you can often still effortlessly recall your childhood pet's name from decades ago.
Yes.
But sometimes struggle with someone you just met last week. That pet likely has strong visual or emotional anchors attached. We heard a truly inspiring story from a gentleman named Joe, a 73-year-old retiree. He shared how he started using this gentle anchor trick at his local senior center.
What did he say?
He told us with a chuckle, "Suddenly I wasn't the guy who always forgot everyone's name. I was the guy who actually remembered." He said it was transformative. That simple shift transformed his confidence, led to deeper, more relaxed friendships he felt. And it gave him this wonderful sense of quiet control over his memory, a control he thought was long gone. It really highlights you genuinely don't need a perfect memory. What you truly need are the right, gentle tools and habits.
That's such a brilliant and straightforward technique, the name anchor. And it truly underscores how much more influence we might have over our memory than we often realize. Now, let's talk about something else that happens mostly unseen. A kind of silent robber of our memories, one that often does its work in the quiet hours of the night. Sleep. Most of us think of sleep as simply a time for physical rest, and of course it is. But for our brains, you're saying it's actually a crucially important cleanup and filing time.
It's truly fascinating what happens during your deepest sleep stages, particularly in those hours before dawn, maybe between, say, 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. for many people.
That specific window again.
Yes, it seems to be a critical period. This is when your brain is hard at work, almost like a diligent librarian working the night shift. It's meticulously sorting through all the day's new information, organizing it, consolidating it, and then carefully filing it away, making sure those memories are truly locked in for the long term.
So converting short-term stuff into long-term storage.
Exactly. And here's the crucial part, if your sleep is frequently disrupted during this essential window, whether it's by physical discomfort, maybe pain, or stress waking you up, or even just needing to get up often, those vital filing cabinet doors in your brain can suddenly slam shut.
Oh, dear.
Yes, and this prevents new short-term memories, like that new neighbor's name you learned yesterday afternoon, from being properly filed and stored permanently. They just kind of drift away, forgotten by morning.
So even if you get, say, 8 hours total, but it's broken sleep.
That's a very important point. Even if you feel like you're getting enough total hours of sleep, frequent awakenings, even brief ones you might barely remember, can significantly harm your ability to recall memories learned the previous day. Especially for older adults, this seems particularly impactful. And many people don't realize this is happening. They often attribute that morning forgetfulness to just getting older again, instead of recognizing it as potentially a sleep quality issue, not just quantity.
So what can help protect that deep sleep filing time?
Well, many people find that establishing a calming wind-down ritual before bed is incredibly helpful. This signals to your body and brain that it's time to transition. It could be something simple, like a warm, gentle shower or bath, maybe listening to soft, soothing music, or turning off bright screens well before bed, or even just 5 minutes of quiet, slow, rhythmic breathing.
Setting the stage for rest.
Exactly. Anything that helps your body feel safe, settled, and still. Because when your body truly relaxes, your brain can then freely do its most essential memory work, saving those names, those moments, those memories you'll want to access with ease tomorrow.
It's truly remarkable, isn't it? How many seemingly small, interconnected aspects of our daily lives, our stress, our food, our sleep, can have such a profound and often hidden impact on our memory. Now let's talk about a very common human tendency. What happens when we do forget a name? When we're standing there drawing a blank? Our natural instinct for many of us is often to kind of clench up mentally, to try and force that forgotten name out of our minds, almost willing it to appear. But you mentioned earlier, there's a profound and wonderfully counterintuitive truth here. This pressure, this trying harder, can actually do the opposite of what we intend. It can backfire.
It really can. And this brings up a wonderful point. Why doesn't forcing memory work? It feels like it should. Well, when you feel that surge of frustration or maybe mild panic about forgetting something, even something as simple as a name, your body instinctively releases stress signals, hormones like cortisol.
Stress again.
Yes. And this stress actually makes your mental focus tighten, but unfortunately, it often tightens it in the wrong direction. Instead of helping you access the name, you end up focusing on and remembering your frustration about forgetting.
Oh, I see. You remember the feeling, not the name.
Precisely. It creates a kind of negative loop, and the very name you're desperately searching for gets buried even deeper, like trying to find something small you dropped by stomping around anxiously. So many memory experts now gently encourage a technique, sometimes called recall drift.
Recall drift.
Yes, it means consciously allowing your mind to relax, to sort of drift a little, to trust that the memory can often come back to you naturally without force if you just give it space.
So stop trying so hard.
In essence, yes. Simple, gentle actions can help facilitate this drift. Taking a short, unhurried walk, perhaps. Sharing a quiet laugh with a friend about something else entirely. Or even just stepping outside for a breath of fresh, calm air. These things can work far better than sitting there clenching your mental fist trying to force it.
It feels almost too simple.
It does, perhaps, but it's genuinely how your brain seems to more effectively retrieve those fleeting memories once they've gone quiet. You relax the system and the path opens up. We heard another wonderfully inspiring story, this time from Linda, a 76-year-old woman. She used to panic every single time a name slipped her mind. She said, "I'd beat myself up, truly."
I think many people can relate to that feeling.
Absolutely. Then a wise friend suggested to her, "Linda, next time it happens, just smile gently, pause, take a breath, and just let it come back if it wants to. Trust your amazing mind." And Linda found that almost every time, if she just relaxed about it, the name would often pop back into her head a few minutes later, maybe when she was thinking of something else.
Wow, just letting go.
That quiet shift completely transformed her relationship with her own memory. It replaced that fear and frustration with a kind of gentle trust. And perhaps that's the truly profound message here for all of us. Your brain isn't giving up on you when a name slips. It's often simply asking for a different kind of partnership, one that's maybe softer, wiser, and far more patient. Because when you stop trying to control every memory, you make quiet space for something far more powerful natural recall to return.
This has been such a deeply empowering exploration, really. It truly brings home the message, doesn't it? That memory challenges, like forgetting names, are not just an inevitable part of simply getting older that we have to passively accept. Instead, these simple, mindful daily habits, from how we gently start our day to how we thoughtfully nourish our bodies with things like choline, how we use tricks like the name anchor, how we protect our sleep, and even how we react when we do forget, they can genuinely make a profound and positive difference. This conversation has truly been about protecting not just our ability to remember names, but also our overall clarity of thought, the richness of our connections with others, and that deep sense of dignity that comes with being fully present and engaged in our lives.
I truly hope these insights have resonated deeply with you listening and perhaps gently encouraged you to consider making some small, nurturing changes in your own wonderful life. And of course, remember, these ideas we've shared are here to gently educate and empower you, but they are not naturally a substitute for professional medical advice. So please, always do consult your own doctor with any specific health concerns you might have. As we gently bring this conversation to a close, I'd like to leave you with just a reflective thought, a quiet question for you to perhaps ponder later today.
What's one name, just one, that you never ever want to forget? Take a moment with that name, maybe later. Let that name be a gentle guide for you. Let it be a tender reminder of why these habits, these small acts of self-care for your brain and memory, truly matter so much. And if something we've discussed today sparked a quiet curiosity within you, or perhaps gave you a fresh wave of hope, or simply made you reflect, please consider sharing it with someone you care about. Because memory, in its deepest sense, isn't just about recalling the past, is it?
No, it's about living fully now. Exactly. It's about fully staying present. It's about being you, your full, clear, and proud self in every single precious moment.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of the Senior Healthcare Podcast. To everyone here with us, thank you. And to you, listening or watching right now, this conversation doesn't end here. It begins every time you choose to take one small step toward protecting your memory, your independence, and your voice. The ideas shared today are meant to educate and empower. They're not a replacement for medical advice or treatment, so whenever you're unsure, always talk to your doctor. But here's a question we'd love for you to answer in the comments. What's one name you never want to forget? Let that name guide your habits starting today. Let it remind you why this matters so much. If something in this episode sparked your curiosity, gave you hope, or made you reflect, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone. And most of all, subscribe to the Senior Healthcare Podcast and turn on notifications so you never miss the next step on this journey. Because memory isn't just about the past. It's about staying present. It's about being you, fully, clearly, and proudly. We'll see you in the next episode.